So, after all this time, we couldn't imagine that Tucker Carlson could surprise us with the level of bullshit and Russian propaganda coming out of his mouth. But he did, and it amazed us.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson.
In 9 minutes of his first Twitter video, he managed to say incredible amount of lies about Russia and Ukraine, say that modern America is just like 70s Soviet Union, claim that UFOs exist and the government is hiding them from us because of censorship and apparently some tyranny of trans people, and all while being promoted by Elon Musk and Russian ambassador himself.
This morning, it looks like somebody blew up the Kakhovka Dam in southern Ukraine.
Kakhovka Dam.
Bruh.
And it's probably the last thing that he said in this video, which is not a crazy lie. So at night, Ukrainians living nearby woke up to the sounds of a huge explosion. The Kakhovka Dam, not Kakhovka, was blown up. And because of the size of the reservoir, you can see it on the map, it's huge. It means the biggest intentionally man-made ecological catastrophe in the world since God knows when happened. It flooded dozens of villages and towns. It will kill whole ecosystems in the radius of hundreds of kilometers. And it will probably kill agriculture in Ukraine, which is one of the main economical things Ukraine has. And as military analysts say, it will make it almost impossible to attack Russian positions. So all the cons of the story are Ukrainian and all the pros are Russian. So who are this mysterious somebody, in Tucker's opinion, who blew up the dam? Let's see.
If this was intentional, it was not a military tactic, it was an act of terrorism. The question is, who did it?
Who? Who, Tucker? Please tell us. Please, I'm so anxious. Tell us who did it? Who blew up the Ukrainian infrastructure?
Tucker knows the truth. Who did it? Who did it?
Well, let's see. The Kakhovka Dam was effectively Russian. It was built by the Russian government.
God, it was not built by the Russian government. It's like saying, that the office of the president in Ukraine in Kyiv was built by the Russian government. It was not. It was built in the 50s by Dnipro, which was a Soviet construction organization based in Ukraine, and it built a lot of other stuff in Ukraine. And since 1991 and until now, this was and is a Ukrainian hydroelectric plant and a Ukrainian dam, which was built by Ukrainians, used by Ukrainians, and worked in the interest of Ukraine. And I don't remember workers over there being paid in rubles. They were paid in hryvnias all along.
It currently sits in Russian-controlled territory. The dam's reservoir supplies water to Crimea, which has been, for the last 240 years, home of the Russian Black Sea Fleet.
And for previous 2 million years, as well as last 30 years, it was not, so go fuck yourself.
And the entire continent used to be Pangea, which means nothing. What the fuck is he talking about? Jesus Christ.
Blowing up the dam may be bad for Ukraine, but it hurts Russia more. And for precisely that reason, the Ukrainian government has considered destroying it.
Bad for Ukraine? Bad as if destruction of a large portion of its agriculture economy deafened thousands of Ukrainians, the whole ecology of the south bad. And how does it hurt Russia again? Because from what I've seen, the Russian border is like 400 kilometers to the east, and it's kind of far away, right?
No, I love how he talks like he's stupid, like Ukraine bad, Russia good. Like this is just
doesn't fucking like
derp, whatever.
It just takes the voice, how he speaks it.
Russia bad.
In December, the Washington Post quoted a Ukrainian general saying his men had fired American-made rockets at the dam's floodgate as a test strike.
Damn, busted. Those were small HIMARS rockets, which didn't even destroy Antonovsky Bridge, the regular bridge down to the south, after dozens and dozens of strikes. And the dam is a 2.5 miles of reinforced concrete structure designed for huge loads and probably indirect nuclear strike.
And since we're citing woke media and Ukrainian officials, why not just cite Zelensky from October last year, when he said that Russians mined the dam and they were threatening to blow it up, and then he asked for international mission to observe the dam, and Russians didn't let them. Guess, surprise, surprise.
Any fair person would conclude that the Ukrainians probably blew it up.
How the fuck do you know? like, just as usual, zero evidence, tons of just made-up facts, and the logic of a brain-dead snail to conclude that, it was done not by fascists I'm rooting for or working, but by Ukrainians, right?
The truth is plain and simple, and facts are plain and simple. Armies that are attacking do not blow dams to block their own path of advance. Armies that are retreating do blow up dams to slow the advance of the other side. Ukraine is advancing, Russia was retreating. There's not much to understand here. It's very easy. Even Tucker Carlson could wrap his head around it.
Tucker Carlson's video reached over 80 million views and it keeps growing, and it's freaking terrifying. We here are trying to fight propaganda and misinformation, and we don't have these numbers, so we need your help.
Please like and subscribe to our channel, leave a comment and share this video with your friends so YouTube would recommend it to more people and more people would know the truth.
And in case you want to support us even more, you could donate to us using Buy Me a Coffee site. It will help us make even more videos, make them more good, and stay independent, right? Link in the description below. Let's go.
It's not like Vladimir Putin is anxious to wage war on himself. Oh, but that's where you're wrong, Mr. and Mrs. Cable News consumer. Vladimir Putin is exactly that sort of man, the sort of man who'd shoot himself to death in order to annoy you.
No, he actually is that sort of man. That whole invasion of Ukraine was one big shot in the dick, so why the hell would he say that he's not? He is exactly that kind of person. It just sounds ridiculous, Jesus Christ.
Putin is evil, and evil people do evil things purely for the dark joy of being evil. In this specific case, Putin attacked himself, which is the most evil thing you can do, and therefore perfectly in character for a man that evil.
No, he does not do it purely for the dark joy. He does it because he's a fascist imperialist who wants to rebuild the USSR and create one Russian nation, and it's obvious why he does things. And Tucker just admitted that he considers the occupied territory of Ukraine Russian, and he doesn't even blink.
Ukraine, as you may have heard, is led by a man called Zelensky.
Zelensky?
Zelensky.
Sweaty and rat-like, a comedian turned oligarch, a persecutor of Christians, a friend of BlackRock.
A persecutor of Christians, destroyer of words, a kingslayer.
Mother of dragons.
Mother of dragons. Fuck, Ukraine is like, I don't know, Ukraine is more Christian than, like, okay, Ukraine is too Christian to even discuss that. What a fucking delusional take. So then Tucker proceeds and whining about how bad it is that Lindsey Graham and Zelensky said that killing Russians is good.
Here's the pair last week.
Free or die.
Free or die.
Now you are free.
Yes.
And we will be.
And the Russians are dying.
It's the best money we've ever spent.
Thank you so much.
No, it's...
The Russians are dying. It's the best money we've ever spent, Graham says.
But it is. Russia is officially main American adversary aside China. It says so in the American national security strategy. It's good. It's good investment. This is how national security and wars work.
Look, I think I just understood. Tucker Carlson is rooting for Russia. And
really?
De facto working in its interests. Remind me, how is it called? I forgot. Like, is there a word for this thing?
A smile spreads across his thin, quivering lips as he forms the words. He looks like a starving man contemplating a breakfast buffet. The aroma of death has aroused Lindsey Graham. Thanks so much, replies Zelensky. He feels the same way.
How do you... Wait a second.
No, let's just wait for a minute.
How do you know
this whole sentence?
How do you know?
This whole sentence is disgusting.
How do you know Lindsey Graham is aroused? Fuck. How do you know Lindsey Graham is aroused there? Like, is there like Fox News experience or something?
No, just like the sentencing is just a smile spreads across his thin, quivering lips as he forms the words. It's like Nabokov. Does Tucker Carlson want Lindsey Graham? Is it sexual?
Like,
are they gonna do the
Nabokov's book about pedophilia?
Yeah, it's literally that.
Why we don't talk about that? We should talk about it more.
See, there's nothing dark here. Just two middle-aged guys celebrating the killing of a population. They don't seem like the kind of people who'd enjoy flooding villages or starting a famine. And in any case, who cares if they are?
What about Ukrainian population killed by Russians?
He said
It's
killing
ridiculous.
the population.
Yeah, what about the Russian? What about thousands of Ukrainians who were murdered? Only a psychopath, a complete psychopath, would compare the deaths of Russian troops that came to the foreign land to commit genocide and compare them to civilians who became victims of the catastrophe of the Russian doing. What the hell does he mean, killing of the population? The population should have stayed home and never fucking came to Ukraine. That's what the population should have done.
The media lie, they do. But mostly they just ignore the stories that matter. What's happened to the hundreds of billions of US dollars we've sent to Ukraine? No clue.
Yeah, absolutely no clue.
Yeah, no clue. Just like 200,000 dead Russian soldiers happened, thousands and thousands of destroyed Russian military equipment happened, which otherwise, by the way, would have been destroyed not in Ukraine, but somewhere in the territories of Europe by Europeans and Americans.
But hey, whatever. Because on the 7th minute of the 9-minute video, Tucker Carlson switched from Putin's asshole to aliens.
UFOs are actually real, and apparently so is extraterrestrial life. Now we know. In a normal country, this news would qualify as a bombshell, the story of the millennium. But in our country, it doesn't.
Sure, and also the government is hiding Santa Claus in Guantanamo prison because transgender globalists are in power and canceling Christmas. Right?
Aliens. Aliens.
Fuck.
Aliens.
Aliens. I forgot about them.
There was nothing at all about how an alien species is flying hypersonic aircraft over our cities. Not one word. So if you're wondering why our country seems so dysfunctional, this is a big part of the reason.
What?
Hypersonic alien species flying above our cities, aircrafts everywhere. What the fuck is this?
Anyway, after UFOs and aliens, outraged Tucker Carlson, who just recently worked at major cable news, gets to the point that all Americans live in the 1970s Soviet Union.
When Western tourists first started traveling in large numbers to the Soviet Union in the early 1970s, they found that many Russians had a completely warped understanding of the United States. They thought that Americans lived in grinding poverty, in a state of perpetual race war, and were desperate to flee to the freedom and prosperity of the Eastern Bloc. 50 years later, it is bewildering to consider the ironies here. We're the ones who live in ignorance now.
Oh.
This comparison is just fucking stupid. First of all, countries should be able to keep secrets. That's part of running a country. Second of all, I've been to the States. I have not seen many gulags there, last time I was there. I haven't seen 3.2 million people starve to death in man-made starvation in order to, kill off the entire population. I haven't seen intellectual elites being shot in the head by the order of the state. Tucker, he's just so lazy. He doesn't even care. He's lazy in his propaganda because he thinks his audience is stupid. And he thinks they're stupid and they will believe anything he say, even though his lies just cost $800 million to Fox News Channel. It's just such disrespect to his own audience, and I don't think they get it. It's the worst part. I think he thinks they're dumb, and I don't think they get it.
Yeah, and now he's on Twitter, paid and probably boosted by the richest man on earth, Elon Musk, and that's actually the biggest and probably the most worrying part of it. There is now a real oligarch in the United States who's not only controlling the media, but controlling the means of distribution, banning those he doesn't like, shadow banning the whole Ukrainian nation because he likes Russian more. That's actually true. Boosting the most outrageous racist, anti-Semitic, homophobic, pro-Russian and literally Nazi propaganda, all while getting governmental contracts and subsidies for his little shiny electric cars. This video was reposted not only by all the regular suspects, including MAGA representatives and Elon Musk himself, but also by the Russian government officials because they probably benefited from it. And it received over 80 million views by now, and it will probably be more later. And it should terrify you because this people, this man particularly, Elon Musk, he just he's trying to buy public opinion. He's trying to infuse the worst kind of propaganda and lies into human brains and influence the upcoming elections to put some guy who's a carrier of these values. And probably you won't like it. And
you should be scared.
And you should be scared. Thank you.